Hey guys, Heretic U here, and I've got some very exciting news. I have decided to team up with Patreon. So, right about now, you might be wondering, well, what is Patreon? Basically, Patreon is a way for content creators like myself to beg for money on the internet guilt free. So, here's how it works. Basically, I'm going to tell you that it's Patreon is like a tip jar. It's completely optional. You don't have to do it. Then I'm going to tell you how hard it is to actually make YouTube videos. And it is very hard. I mean, first off, you're going to need a camera or some kind of recording device to actually record the video. Then you're going to actually have to push play or record on that camera and record the video. Then you have to push stop when you're done recording the video. I know, it gets pretty complicated. Make sure that you have something that it's recording to, like, a hard drive or, an SD card. That costs extra money. But that's just the beginning. Then I'm going to tell you about how many hours it takes me to edit these videos and put in fancy graphics and all the bells and whistles that you guys have enjoyed so far for free. And after all of that, I'm going to tell you that if you donate to my Patreon, I'm going to make a lot more videos and higher quality. And after you give me your money, well, basically, I'm not going to do any of those things that I promised. And that's what makes Patreon so fucking fantastic. Because you're donating to me, I'm not obligated to do any of the things that I promised. So right now, you're probably thinking, why should I donate to you when there are plenty of charities and other things I could be doing with my money? To be honest, kind of wondering that myself. I mean, my best guess, maybe you're allergic to money. Maybe having money touching your skin or in your pocket physically harms you. Or maybe GW has treated you so bad that you don't know the difference between right and wrong. Whatever the case is, I'll be glad to take your money from you. So, check out the link below and donate to my Patreon. Thanks, guys. Alright, and welcome. Has it been a week? Wow, it's been a quick week. What am I doing? Let me start with my intro. Alright, here we go. Welcome, people. The hell am I? Welcome to Late Night Ramblin with your host, Heretic of You. This is a show where I basically spew off my thoughts before going to bed about usually centered around the hobby of tabletop wargaming. Now, in case you didn't notice that little intro at the beginning, yeah, that's a spoof. That's a fake. And before you get all pissed off and start writing your comments, though I appreciate you writing comments, so go ahead and write them. But before you start getting mad at me, let me give you the official Heretic response to Patreon. What I actually think of Patreon. Okay. And now I know some YouTubers that I'm friends with have Patreons, and I mean no offense. This is just my opinion. We can differ. We can differ on things, right? But let me give you my opinion. La opinion about Patreon. So basically, here's how I feel. I thought about this for a long time. Okay, I don't hate Patreon. I don't hate people that have Patreon. I've got nothing against you. And I don't hate the people that give to people who have Patreons. It's your money. Do whatever the fuck you want, right? That's my saying. I think I explained it in my video about, some YouTube channels worth paying for. But just in case it was unclear. So I don't have any personal beefs against you if you have a Patreon. Okay? Here's what I'm against, and here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing abuse on Patreon. I'm seeing people that promise you things, that say that they're going to do this, and they say they're going to do that. And they get people donating because, this community, we're extremely generous. We want people to succeed. And we generally like the YouTubers that we have, right? So we're like, hey, you need a couple extra bucks. Okay, I'm going to help you out. Here's where I have my problem. So then they set up the Patreon, they get the money, and they put out less content. Or sometimes no content happens. Now, I understand shit happens in life, okay? And you can't do videos. But if that's the case, then take down your Patreon. Like, if you can't do what you promised, then stop taking people's money. Okay? I'll give you an example. This is an actual Patreon example. I'm not going to give out names because, I'm a chicken shit. Yes. So true. Anyways, guy comes out and he's like, you know what? I'm not making enough money off the ad revenue, which is true. Any of us that run ads on our channel, it's not a lot of money. Okay. So I know from experience that is true. And he's like, hey guys, if I get to a certain dollar amount, and here's the thing, this is the thing that really pissed me off, is he said, if you guys donate to a certain dollar amount, that will ensure that I can, stay home and produce videos of the same quality, and you're gonna get quantity. And then he promised the world, fuck, I'm gonna dedicate videos in your child's name, and I will tattoo your name on my arm, or okay, obviously I'm exaggerating about that last part, but promises were made. Okay, so they launched a video, and people are like, hey, okay, cool, I gave you the money, where are the videos? And he's like, well, hold on, I have to have the video out there for a little bit longer. Please, 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 please. So then he gets to a certain point, the monetary value that he himself said he needed, and nothing after that. It was all, yeah, he made a couple videos, and then since then has not done much. And that's fine, like I said, but then take down your Patreon. Stop taking people's shit. And I know what you're saying too. You're probably saying, well, people can cancel their Patreon account, and that's true too, but I guess a lot of people just either they're naive, or maybe they're just too lazy to cancel. Maybe it's a hassle. I don't know. I'm personally against Patreon. For me, that's something that I wouldn't do, and this is coming from someone who runs ads. I think I produce a pretty good amount of content for a one-man show, right? So I run ads on my YouTube channel. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I make anywhere between $5 to $10 a month doing that. Okay. That, to be honest, covers the cost of my YouTube channel. All right. Let me break it down for you. Okay. That's the cost of the batteries for my camera. Basically, $5 to $10 a month covers the cost of my batteries, and I'm happy doing that. You know why? Because it's my YouTube channel is a hobby. It's a hobby. It's something I do on top of my wargaming that just adds an extra layer of the hobby to it. And so if I can get it to cost zero, I'm happy. I don't want to make a profit. Personally, it's just there's just something tainted about that. Maybe I'm a purist. Maybe. But there becomes a level of expectation. So if I make a promise and say, hey, if you guys donate, I feel like I'm obligated to do so. And if I can't, then I think you should get your money back. That is not what is happening in our current situation, guys. And I don't care. I mean, a lot of people are going to accuse me of being a hater on Patreon. A hater of people that want to make money in this hobby. That is absolutely not the case. In fact, tonight's episode, we're going to talk about how you can supplement your hobby, doing things that in your hobby to make money, not to live off, but basically to just so you can get the new shiny stuff that us gamers always crave, right? There are ways to do that, and there are ways to do that without selling your fucking soul on something like Patreon. And again, just my personal preference, I think Patreon would be a very bad idea for a guy like me. And that's why I'm against it. I'm against it because I have the freedom right now. If I wanted to do a video on My Little Ponies, if I wanted to cover a video on the Care Bears or the Smurfs or whatever, I have no obligation to you guys. It's basically whatever. This channel is my hobby. It's whatever I want it to be. And I can put up content whatever I want. That goes away when you have something like Patreon. But what sucks is that's the moral end of it. There's nothing enforcing that. And I think that's where the fraud occurs. Now, there's a difference. Let's say I say, okay, hey guys, I have this Patreon. If you want to donate, cool. If you don't worry about it. Okay, that's different. Why? Why is that different? Well, as soon as you start making promises like, hey, this is going to be to buy a camera, or hey, I need a new computer or whatever, then it's like you're crossing a line. But if you make no promises to the person, if you say, hey, if you donate, you're not going to get anything different. You're not going to be treated any differently than the rest of the other people that view my videos. Then it truly is a tip jar. It's just, people who really want to support you. It gives them an easy way to do so. I think that's really what it should be. In an ideal world, that's how it should work. But people are, basically going on their hands and knees and they're saying, I need this because of this. I need this because of... Here's the thing. Okay, I'll try to make this quick. Okay. I realize that there are some people that put a lot of work into their content, okay? And that's fine. That's great. But you came in to this doing that. You see what I'm saying? You can't guilt trip someone. I don't think it's fair to guilt trip someone and say, I really put a lot of work in this. Well, we didn't ask you to. We appreciate it. I mean, I put work into my videos. And maybe you guys can't tell. Maybe it's not as nice as some other channels. But I do what I can. And I do it within reason. We're not Michael Bay, right? Not everything's gonna have a fucking explosion to it. And people could do it. Fuck you, if you want to, go ahead. But you can't then, after the fact, say, hey, I put all this work into it, and guilt trip people into donating into your Patreon. I think that's wrong. Personally, I think it's wrong. If you want to put in a lot of work into your YouTube channel, that's because you, as an artist, have chosen to do that, And maybe you're a perfectionist. Maybe you shoot something 100, 150 times. To be honest, I've seen like the best, like graphically enhanced battle reports, and they're not nearly as good as somebody could. There's more content to say. I'm going to give an example. Mr. Crazy Carl Winter. He used to do Malifaux battle reports back in the 1.5 days. And he would just take a camera, snap some pictures, throw that shit in, I think he either used Movie Maker or, some free program like that. Or maybe PowerPoint, I don't know. But they were crisp, they were concise, they were fantastic. There was another guy named Southern Signar. He would do the same type. And you actually get a lot more from those battle reports than those ones with the fancy graphics. And I know a lot of people like their fancy graphics, but that's just my opinion. Okay, enough about this. Enough about Patreon. Okay, that's all my official stance is. Okay, there's abuse, and people need to stop that. Or people need to stop supporting people that are abusing the system. Okay? And to be honest, most of the war game content out there, I feel like it should just be shared for free. This is coming, I know I run ads on my channel, but there's a difference between me, getting ad revenue than directly getting money from you. I kind of draw a line there. Maybe I'm a hypocrite. You can call me out all you want. Just put it in the comments, okay? Alright, so we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to move on because it's getting pretty late. Tonight we're going to talk about just some ways that I have found to supplement my hobby that outside of YouTube, okay? Now, some of you might want to go down the YouTube route. I don't know, it's a tough route, to be honest. There are some big channels. I think if you are a really talented painter and your shit's really good, you're gonna get a lot of subs. Okay. But if you're just a guy like me that just shares his hobby, whatever, I'm happy to share with whatever I can share with you guys. You just have to sit through a little advertisement. But other than that, anything I know, I'll be happy to share because I know I have picked up lessons from YouTube, from people that are sharing content, and I think that's the best way is when everyone's sort of sharing everything, because that's a real community. Okay, when you sucker people into, I don't know, paying money for your bat reps or your painting vids, I don't know. I just think it's not the way to go, honestly. All right, so moving on. I'm going to make this quick because we got a lot of stuff to go over, guys. And so tonight's episode, hopefully it won't be too long. Or I don't know. You guys tell me. You guys like them longer? Like them shorter? However, they're meant for you to just, push play on the video while you're assembling models or painting. And you get to hear me ramble. That sort of thing. So, anyways, there's 3 things that I have done in my hobby. We'll call it hobby career. Hobby life. Hobby life sounds better. That have helped supplement. I mean, let's be honest. This is not this is not a cheap hobby to get into, right, guys? It costs a lot of money, and so if you can do something in the hobby that produces money, more power to you. And there's just a couple of things that I have done, and I'm still doing. It helps. And I thought I would share what I do. So, okay, so number one, a lot of people don't know that I do commission painting. Now, I'm not a Golden Demon winner or anything like that. The best I've ever won was a couple of, kind of in-store painting competitions where, there's a tournament and I've won Best Painted a couple times and stuff like that. So I consider myself above average. That's probably one of the most important things. Know where your painting level is if you're going to go down this route. Don't worry if you're not a Golden Demon painter. You can still do commission painting. People want their shit painted. And people are fine with tabletop standard. Or at least a lot of people are. Some people want a higher standard. But, if you're not comfortable... Well, I'm going to give you some quick tips. Okay. So, I do commission painting. I only have... realistically 2 clients. Now I've had maybe a dozen over, my time of doing commission painting, but I have a couple rules that I follow. I like to keep it local. So I'm not telling you guys to go out and, go to GoDaddy and buy a website and start, pimping yourself out. That's not what I'm saying. For me, it's all about dealing with people local. You don't have to deal with shipping. You don't have to deal with any of that crap. Start with in a game store. And the way that I've always gotten my commissions is by playing games. So I'll come down to a game store and play with a fully painted army. And sometimes, what will happen is some people will walk by and say, "Hey, that's really nice stuff." Okay. At that point, you can just say, and you're not being pushy, you're not being a salesman. You say, I painted these. I do commissions. If you ever, need something painted, give me a holler. If and when you get your first commission, I recommend that you do a small project first, because trust me, it's a lot different picking up the brush when there's money involved than when it's just for your own pleasure. Okay, it's a lot different when the client tells you a color scheme that you might think is not good, but at this point you have moved on from hobby to business, and you have to kind of change your mindset. That's why I say new client, start with a small project. With the guys that I work with now, I think I did like a squad, basically 10 miniatures. That was my first commission. It's like 10 miniatures, quick, easy. Know your time frame, know what you're capable of. And what I mean by that is, if they say, I want, OSL, object source lighting or non-metallic metal, and you've never done that, let them know up front, or even walk away from the project and say, you know what, that I can't. I've never done that, and it's kind of something that don't make promises that don't write checks that your ass can't cash. Is that the saying? I think so. Boy, it's getting late. It's getting really late. So that's rule number 1. Start small. Get a good, realistic time period. That you have to know yourself. So the turnaround, make sure you meet your deadline. That's very important. Or if you're not, at least you're communicating, sending pictures or something. Let the guy know that you're working on his shit, After the first project, if he likes your work, he'll want you to do something else, right? And that's where your jobs start coming in. The guys that I work with now, I've done jobs previously. They know my work. They know my style. And so there's already a level of trust. But with your first job, you're going to have to earn trust. And it might be that he doesn't like the way you paint. I mean, that happens. But, if you start with a small project, then, it's not such a bad thing for either of you. Okay? You didn't gain much money, but you got experience. And he didn't, lose that much money or mess up that many models. You know what I mean? So it's sort of low risk. Okay. Now, not everyone can do this. Okay, not everyone likes painting, and trust me, there's a difference when it sounds cool to be painting and getting money, but at the end of the day, when you start crunching the numbers, you're not really making that much. I mean, it's probably less than minimum wage. So that's something to consider. I mean, we're not talking about trying to make an actual living off this. We're talking about just trying to supplement. So, kids, to sum it up, if you're gonna look at doing commissions, rule number 1, start local. Work with people you know. Don't make promises you can't keep. So you got to be honest with yourself. Be honest with your limitations. If you find yourself having a lot of requests, and let's say you're a really talented painter, and people are lining up at the door to get their stuff painted by you, know your limitations on that too. Don't just take every job that comes because you don't want to get overwhelmed, and that's just going to be a very bad situation. So I say start small, try it out, see how you like it, see if it's something you can do on a regular basis. And this, doing commission jobs will actually, get you a lot of the stuff that you need. And a lot of people will take trades for commission jobs. I forgot, like, one of the ways I got started with one of the clients is I was just like, hey, what do you have on you? And he had 50 points of Kador that I was interested in. And I was like, okay, what do you want for that? How much painting can I do for that? And we worked out a deal. And it was awesome. So there's just, if I could just kind of sum it up, it's this is a great way to supplement your hobby. There's always people looking to get their stuff painted. There's always people that they don't want to play with metal shit. And you could provide a service as long as you're, if you're fast, if you're consistent, you're gonna you're going to make some money, okay? Not, like I said, not enough to live off, but enough that you can buy that, whatever you're into. That Saga starter. I just wanted to say Saga. I don't know why. I just want to mention it every now and then. Like, I'm staring at Saga miniatures right now. I'm like, yeah, no one ever talks about Saga. So, alright, so that's number one. That's one of the things I do. Second thing I do, and a lot of people have started doing this, is most of the companies, if it's not GW, they have a volunteer program, okay? So basically, how that works is, if you run tournaments, if you run demos, you teach people how to play their game, they will compensate you in miniatures, okay? They don't give you actual money. At least I haven't seen any programs that have done it. I've joined a number of programs, and this is a fantastic way where, like, if you have a regular gaming schedule, like, hey, I'm going to be at the gaming store every Saturday or whatever, and you can run a demo for like 2 hours, then you get compensated. You report your demos or you report your tournaments as a volunteer. Those hours are then translated into points on their web store usually, and you use those points to get miniatures. And that is a fantastic way to get miniatures. One, you're doing a service to the community. Teach people how to play a game. You're spreading the word about the company. Like, honestly, like, a lot of people just say playing the game is enough advertisement. Well, it isn't really. Doing demos is fantastic. I've been doing that for a while now. And, yeah, depending on how much you do, this is one of those things where how much you put in, will equate to how much you get out. So it's an hourly, most of them are hourly basis. If you run a tournament, I think they have, each company will have separate rules for, like, if it's a pretty big tournament, you'll be compensated more. Sometimes you can just run a paint day for them, for their models. A lot of these companies, we are their advertisement. And because we're their advertisement, they all depend on people to run demos for them. Volunteers. The downside is, of course, every hour that you put into demoing or running tournaments, that's time that you would be just regularly playing the game. I will say this. As a competitive player, it becomes tough because, a good demo, usually you want the person that's getting the demo to win. And it actually can affect your competitive play if you constantly are holding back. You're not hitting them with the hardest stuff. Some people, and I will refer to them as la douchebags. Some douchebags will flat out curb stomp a noob and be like, "See, that's how you play." I don't know about that approach. I really think that's a bad idea. I think if you're curb stomping people and then talking shit, I wouldn't go back to that game. Would you? Just saying. Please. So volunteering, though, is a great way, but I mean, those are the downsides. Like, you kind of lose your competitive edge because you're not playing competitive games. So if you're a competitive gamer, might not be the best way for you. If you're a casual gamer like me, it's a pretty good solution. You have to line up with the companies that, one, have the program, and if you really like, you have to really enjoy the game, or you're going to be miserable teaching people how to play. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think we need to go any further into that. Just FYI, each program is, like I said, very different. For example, Soda Pop, which is cool. You can actually apply your points to shipping. So you get the entire thing for free. Some companies, you can only get the models for free, and you have to pay for shipping. So that's my second thing. Now the third thing, as we head out to, this one's this one's tougher. But like I said, it's something that I've done, so I can at least speak from experience, which is better than what most people do when they talk about shit in the gaming community. So a lot of you guys don't know that I am the artist of the Gremlin deck. Okay, this picture that you're looking at, which is Seamus, was actually drawn by me. That's my art. So the third thing is basically creating a product to sell. I did mine as kind of an experiment. That was the first time I actually, sold something on a large scale, relatively large scale for me, anyways. So I had a lot of questions. Didn't know exactly how to even get started with the project. All I knew was this was something I wanted to do. So let me back up a few here. Back in the days of 1.5, I really wanted. I was like hardcore Gremlin player from Malifaux. Like, loved them, everything like that. You can go through my older videos. You can see I played Gremlins quite a bit. And so I wanted, I would doodle Gremlins all the time and everything like that. And I thought of the idea of creating this deck, for Malifaux. Malifaux uses cards. And so I was thinking, what if I, made everyone a gremlin, all the different masters of Malifaux at the time. Most of them were human. There's some other races, gremlins being one of them. But I thought it'd be cool to have a gremlin themed deck. So I started with a sketch, and then one of my good friends, Gustavo, who's a digital artist, he colored it, and we threw it up on the forums. I said, "Hey, would anybody be interested in this?" And it generated a lot of interest. And so I thought, why not? Let's try and complete this project. And so there were a lot of questions that came up. But here's what I found out. Here's the cool thing. All right. So the cool thing is that nowadays there is so much help, not just in articles, people in the business, people that have done things. We have just so much access to people that have created either an entire game or just, small parts of a game. So I started talking to people. There was a guy named Gabe. I should put his website in the description. He produces MDF terrain. Okay. And so I started approaching him about, how to distribute the deck. I mean, there's one thing about creating it. There's a whole bunch of questions after that. First of all, how are you going to produce it? And second of all, how much is it? Well, how much is it going to cost to produce? Where is it going to be produced? What's the turnaround time? That sort of thing. And we're talking just a deck of cards, a simple deck of cards. So I started asking people in printing businesses. Luckily, I do IT work. That's my main thing. And one of the businesses that I do IT support for happens to do like signage and stuff like that. Pretty big company. But, I started talking to the workers. I said, here's what I have. Do you guys print these kind of things? And no, they couldn't really help me, but they pointed me in the right direction. So I found a company that I was happy with. I ordered a sample. So this is after completing the project of drawing and coloring and quality control, things that had to be, because there's things that come up that you just don't realize. So it was a long process, but it was kind of fun. Once we finished the artwork and stuff, we had to find somewhere to produce it. And so you start asking questions, you start talking to people. The light at the end of the tunnel, if this is something you want to do, there are people that just create tokens. There are people that just create MDF terrain. There are people, if you are good with, CAD or even, what's the one I was thinking of? It's not GIMP. There's another program that, whatever, it's for the laser cutters, If you have a 3D printer, there are things that you can create supplements for games that you play. And here's the thing. Here's what I forgot to mention. After I had the idea for the Gremlin deck, I contacted the company. Weird, because you don't want to infringe on IP. And so I got an email in writing saying it's cool to have this deck. Like, cool, They had some stipulations, but other than that, I wasn't using any of their logos. I wasn't using any of their art. I wasn't using any of their stuff. It was all handmade. So I'm not infringing on IPs. I mean, you're making a deck of cards. Okay. You are borrowing the likeness of their characters by drawing them, but it doesn't specifically, for example, it doesn't say who everyone is. It's just implied, like people just know, that is, Ramos, or that is Summer, Summer T. Jones or something. So I was very fortunate in that respect. But I mean, think about this. So many games out there use tokens and markers and things like that. And if you can create your own design, or if you are a creative person, then this might be a way to go. Because what's cool about this is that, I still get paychecks at the, every once in a while. Gabe will sell out and order again, and I'll get a paycheck. And so it's residual. It's not a lot of income. It's just cards or whatever. But that money comes in handy. And that money could be used to buy box sets or whatever. So it's really cool. The other thing I was going to say is, if you were actually interested in creating your own game, there are companies out there. I just ran into a company at Kingdom Con that produces pieces for your game. So, example, if you need a board produced for your game, you basically create an account on this website, and you order the size board you need, and then you can put your image on it, and they produce it for you. It's pretty fucking badass. Or if you need a custom deck of cards for your board game, or even little pieces. Now, they don't do any 3D printing, but maybe there are other companies that do. I'm just saying that nowadays, I mean, just look at what's happening on Kickstarter. Look at what people are doing. If you are really passionate about something, um, then there's nothing really. There's so much help. I remember coming up with ideas back in the day, and when I say that, I mean like in the '90s. Where we're like, oh, I totally want to make this game. We would write games and rules for games and stuff like that, but we had nowhere. There were no context. There was no, we didn't have a network that we have now of people that are all into the same thing, and so we're really spoiled when you think about it. And that's the cool thing, though. So you can actually get something made. Um, it's a lot of hard work, but there are so many people that are doing it. There's so many people that you can talk to and network with, and realize, okay, this is the way to go. This is not the way to go. Uh, that sort of thing. You do all. I do these three things. Okay, I volunteer. I do commissions, and I have my Gremlin deck, and with that, I've been able to pad most of my expenses. Pad the correct word? Probably not, but it's late. Who the fuck knows? I was able to, supplement my shit, and so it's not so bad. So the hobby doesn't hurt as much. I know that's ironic because I just gave people with Patreons a rash of shit, but I think you guys understand the difference what I'm talking about. In the three examples that I do, people are getting something in return. You're getting painted figures. You're getting a deck of cards. The company is getting someone to represent them and advertise for them. You could argue, doing YouTube videos, you're getting entertainment, and therefore there should be compensation. I mean, after all, you go to the movies and you have to pay, right? I don't know. It seems really wrong. I don't want to go back to the Patreon thing, but or end it that way. Basically, what I'm saying is, here's some ways that I have found. There's other ways of supplementing, making money from your hobby. But these are the three things that I've done, and it's helped a lot. And hopefully it helps you. If you guys have any suggestions or whatever, please put it in the comments. And speaking of comments, we are going to go to the comment section. That's right. I have a whole segment in graphics for comments. Here we go. So basically, last week we kind of had a controversial topic, I would want to say. Basically talking about an article accusing gamers of being the primary reason, or actually according to the author, the only reason why women don't war game. And so I got a lot of comments here. Let's start with my man Veil of Darkness 000, otherwise known as Cameron, otherwise known as Blog, otherwise known as Listen While You Play. He likes his nicknames, I guess. Ramblin Paul is the best Paul. Hey, why you always use my name, bro? But anyways, thanks, Cameron. Cameron is one of my longtime supporters. I appreciate the support. Always commenting and whatnot. So thank you very much, Cam. Thanks for commenting. Then we have Shura Shanut. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. Shura Shanut, who also is a very long time listener, watching my early videos. He just got back from YouTube just recently. Anyways, he says, "You are awesome, and I love that you brought back the late night ramblins." And I'm glad because I didn't know, if anyone actually enjoyed these. So I appreciate that, and thanks for listening. But most importantly, is it wrong for me to rank? I think it's okay in this case because this last listener is a female wargamer. So this person's insight is probably what I needed the most. And if you're wondering why, I do not doubt for a second that Overtime 13 is in fact a female wargamer because of the way they. First of all, she starts with "thank you," and then says that basically is going to say that everything I do is wrong. But let me read you the comment. Sorry. Here we go. Thank you for this and your other vids like Blood Bowl. The abuse puppy rant sums up what it's like to be a female wargamer like me. No, really, even the ones that you call bullshit on. Winky face, tongue sticking out. I played tabletop games for years. Started with 40k about 15 years ago. 1,000 Suns was her army. And I've always been known in the local stores as the girl who paints but doesn't play. Now, this is true. Something I didn't touch on was that the article does fail to mention that some of the best painters in the world are in fact female. Anyways, moving on. That's because I don't like gaming in stores, as it's like walking into a snake pit where everyone is out to get you, whether because you're a female and is looked at as a piece of meat for the gamers to try and latch onto, or because you're an evil female feminist, blah blah blah, that's out to take everything away from the guys that the guys have built up as their hobby, and you're just invading their space. Either way, you're screwed. That's an very interesting comment there. And it's one situation that I can't really relate to be honest with, because I've never been looked at as a piece of meat, and I think that's I don't know where she games, but I think that's horrible. I really didn't think that was much of a problem because I figure most gamers are pretty shy, but maybe in the places where she games, it's not that way. I will try to present my side of that. The first part of the statement is, to most of these gamers, you probably are their dream woman. I mean, it's very hard for them to find anyone that can relate to them on a gamer level, that they could talk about 1,000 Suns with, that's actually a female. And maybe they don't know how to interact with you, because most gamers are, like I said, either shy or socially inept, or they just don't know how to approach you. And, that's going to be a tough thing for you because, like I said, you're probably, in their minds, the dream woman for them. And it's kind of something that we really can't fix. I mean, there's a reason we refer to you female wargamers as unicorns. It's because you are a rarity, and maybe we don't express it in the right way, but I think a lot of guys would probably give a lot, chop off an arm or a leg to go out on a date with you. Just want to present that other side. If they're being jerks to you, they are being jerks. I mean, there's a difference of being, asking you out and being too pushy. As for being a feminist, I think that's if I can see you getting um, that side of it if you kind of come off. I don't know. The feminists that I know will be in people's faces and pushing their ideas upon them. So I don't know if that's what you're doing, or if people are, or if that's how you're being perceived. Um, Either way, it's not cool. So, guys, when you have a girl in the game store, try to treat her with respect. I know it's tough to do, but you might be just head over heels and you don't know how to react. But try to play it cool. Maybe if she gets to know you, she'll respond. Maybe even go out on a date with you. I don't know. I'm no supermodel. Now this probably means that you're very attractive. I think you're a humble person, honestly. People who have statements like that usually it usually means that they have the sense of humility, but I don't know. I just normally people that say I'm no supermodel are actually pretty attractive. I mean, there's not a lot of people are supermodels, but anyways, let's move on. And I admit it, and I'm cool with that. See, that's why I think she probably is attractive. But it gets old to be flocked and bombarded with questions as soon as you get through the door on what I'm here for, or the boyfriend questions that start to make me feel uncomfortable, because then I have to say no. Saying no means that they think I'm just they think it means just keep asking her and wear her down. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a tough situation where if guys are constantly, if you say no, no means no. And some guys can be pushy that way. And again, it sounds like, if I was in her shoes, I probably wouldn't game at this place. There's a couple of things that I would suggest, though, which is, situations like this would be tough. It might be hard to go to the manager, but I would do it and say, so and so's bothering me and everything like that. Sometimes you have to be harsh to get your point across with men. We could be stubborn, hard-headed. But once we get the point, once you do say no, here's the next point. Eventually she has to say no, and she lies and says I'm a lesbian. Really, it just starts up a whole worse topic. Well, yeah, you shouldn't have to tell people you're a lesbian, but my daughter does that to get guys off her, and so I know that's a tactic. But like I'm saying, in a game store, you should feel protected, and maybe you're embarrassed to go to the manager, maybe, or the staff or something. But if you really want to game there, and it sounds to me like I wouldn't game there. But if you want to continue to go there, I would say, unfortunately, you're going to have to be really harsh on these guys and set the ground rules, But, then again, I've never been in this situation, so it's pretty tough. From what she's describing, this sounds like a pretty tough situation, and I feel bad. Like everything that this guy put in the article she's going through. And, I can only speak from my experience. And from my experience, the gamers that in the game stores that I game with care more about the game, care more about the having fun and the companionship of friendship. The camaraderie that you get from playing and doing battle with each other. than what's happening here. Anyways, she says that when she, let's see, comments such as that is how they can bang me as long as they wear a wig and I just have to pretend it's a dildo. Seriously, these are 20 to 50-year-olds acting like this. Now, that, the 20-year-old part doesn't surprise me. The 50-year-old does, but, if he's a 50-year-old hanging out with 20-year-olds, he's probably going to act like a 20-year-old. That's no excuse, mind you, but it's probably what's happening. And yes, you'd think they'd learn to shower once in a while. Okay, totally. This isn't just in gaming stores. It happens in a lot of places, which I pointed out. I even had to find out. I even had a guy that found out where I lived and came to my house with a case of balls trying to pick me up. Last year I went to a Games Workshop in Halifax and the clerk followed me around the entire time. And yes, the Sisters of Battle questions came up among others. Well, let's start off with the guy, that stalking thing. I hope you went to the authorities on that one. That does sound creepy. As for the Halifax clerk, probably just trying to make a sale. He does work for GW. I'd say give him a break because they probably don't pay him much and he needs to sell something. And he sized you up and couldn't figure out what you were there for. Sounds like a bad salesman. Maybe a bad employee. But we're talking GW. So I'm not surprised there. Anyways, in Holy Lifton, it gets old. I just want to look at minis and pick up paints. I don't want to have to play 50 questions about my life, my dating life, why am I here, etc. True. I don't think. I think most of what you're describing is harassment. I don't know the rules on where you're from, but I would think, if any of these things happened to me, I'd be looking for a manager. I'd be not that I'm not telling you what to do. Okay, I'm just saying it sounds horrible. My question to you would be, why continue to go to this game store if this is happening? Is it the only place to game? There are things, like I said, there are things that sometimes are uncomfortable that we have to deal with. And it sounds like the testosterone in this place is kind of out of control. And, it has to be reined in. And people need to know. Guys sometimes don't know where the line is. And it sounds like you have tried a various amounts of ways of telling them, both direct and sort of indirect, and they're not understanding. So sometimes it's best to get staff involved if you're in a store, because one of their things is to provide a safe environment for people to game. And if this kind of stuff is happening to you, we don't want that happening to other people. And so, again, I wrote to her. I said, I'm sorry that this stuff is happening to you, and I'm not taking back what I said about the article. I still think, even though this happened to this particular person, I still think it's a rarity, at least in where I'm from. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I hope it's my sincere hope that it's not happening to other people. And I want this to be a rarity, and I really wish that this would happen to no one. This should not happen to anyone. Anyways, she says no. Perhaps it's a matter of respect. Okay. Then she says, I think the whole thing of shaming, the shaming thing you say you don't understand is just a matter of respect. Everything doesn't piss off a woman when you're not allowed to ask her any questions or fearing to have your head bit off. Yeah, I mean, it's just that the author himself didn't really describe a conclusive way to interact. And I mean, it might be a hard thing to describe, but I just thought maybe if he offered some suggestions other than showering. Showering's a good thing. Yeah. Showering's always a good thing. Let's not just blow that over. But I think when dealing with members of the opposite sex and you being attracted to them and being in an environment where like a game store, maybe your friends are egging you on to say something inappropriate. Maybe you're trying to shock her to get her attention. There's a lot of things that you have to understand about the male psyche in that type of situation. And I'm not asking you to forgive these guys. You don't have to. And I think what they're doing is unforgivable myself. What I'm saying is that sometimes we don't know how to react, and the article itself didn't really give us any clues. The way I treat this situation, and hopefully you're still listening and can tell me if you agree with this or not. But I try to treat everyone like I would treat, any opponent. So I try to, try to be cordial, try to be nice. And if you treat everybody, man or woman, the same, that also means sometimes, laughing and kidding around. But that's where it gets a little dangerous, because sometimes you don't know. Like, I can joke with my boys about stuff that some women would find offensive. And so I think that's the real hard part about this, is trying not to offend somebody, but also trying not to alienate them at the same time. That's the crux of this problem, and I just didn't think the article really did anything to help in that matter. And that's why I was just trying to point out. But anyways, if you had to walk in a woman's shoes for a week and hear all the same bull over and over again, like an old joke, wait, sorry, it's late and I lost my place. You hear every day and still expected to laugh at, you'd understand the bit of constant pressure we are under. I guess in the end, the people you want to be treated, all in all, is good. Holy crap, sorry for the novel. No, I appreciate it. I really do. Like I said, I already responded to her. And then we kind of went back and forth and we started talking about Blood Bowl. Kiss. Blood Bowl's awesome. But I just wanted to share with you guys that I guess not taking back anything I said in that video, but now hearing someone that's gone through these things, knowing that this is actually happening, I will say that kind of behavior is that she's describing is harassment, in my opinion, and shouldn't be tolerated. The question is, and I know this is tough, going through what you're going through. Is it the norm? Is this happening everywhere? I'm not sure now. That's the only thing I will say is now that I have someone that's responding to the allegations in the article, if it's happening, how often? We don't have stats. But what we can do is, as a community, is stop this from happening. And I would say my advice is, hopefully there's another place to game. Hopefully there's a gaming group, a gaming club out there for you. Facebook is amazing for finding groups and clubs. Hopefully these guys, will be taught a lesson. And, if I was the manager at whatever store this is, I would kick all these guys out. That shouldn't be tolerated anywhere. And if it means I lose their business, I lose their business. So, hopefully that's a good enough, I wish I could do more, but I'm just some schmuck in California that rants late at night. So there's not much I can do, but I just hope that your situation improves, and I hope there's other places for you to go, and I hope these guys do get kicked out. They don't deserve to be in a game store. Okay. And maybe if they're at least threatened with that, maybe they would change. And I'm an optimist. I think that most people do have a good side to them. I think these guys don't know how to act around people necessarily, and it could be especially around women. But you mentioned two places in your, so I'm imagining that this is happening to you in a lot of different places. So it might not just be the game place; it might be the. I hope it isn't everywhere you go, is what I'm saying. And I'm sorry for the end rant about this, but that's okay. So anyways, that was comments, and I just wanted to, I know I spent a lot of time talking about Overtime 13's comment, but I think this is the kind of interaction that I was looking for, guys. This is the kind of stuff that makes me think. It makes me at least understand that finally I have a woman's perspective and in on all of this, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all your comments, guys, and hopefully you have some comments for tonight, and then we will address them in the next rambling. I'm not sure how to end these things, but I guess I'll end with a summation about, tonight's topic was about supplementing your income. And I guess what I wanted to say is there's absolutely nothing wrong with trying to make money in this hobby. Okay? If that's what you want to do, if you're passionate about this hobby, go for it. Does that mean that I'm going back on what I feel about Patreon? No. Like I said, I don't have anything against Patreon. I don't have no hatred towards people that have them. Mine was specific to the abuse that's happening. So I hope you guys understand that, and I hope that the fellow YouTubers I'm looking at Bleeped Up, for example, has a Patreon. He's a good friend of mine that just happens to have a Patreon. Um, I hope you don't take offense to that. I hope you know where I'm coming from. And, you know, I'm not here to just start trouble. Like, that's not what this is about. That's not what these rambles are about. These are my honest feelings. I'm not trying to troll or whatever. And I hope we can have disagreements. I hope we can have discussions like this. And at the end of the day, still respect each other. Right? So, I'm going to end on that note. I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's ramble. And I will see you on the next one.